What am I doing? I have to fall back and watch TV for the night. Do I want to go with you? Go where? We locked up. Where we going? Church? No, I don't want to go to church. Why? You got jokes, huh? A regular Dave Chappelle, Mr. Andrew Dice Clay himself. Do I want to go to church? Ha ha, funny man. No, I'm not going to church. You know why? Don't make me say it, man. Why you make me think about stuff that makes my brain hurt? Like, you know what happened last time I went to church. You go to church. I'm not going to church. Maybe I'll see God. God ain't over there. I went there. He don't come there. No, that's not God. God's not. I don't care what you say. God was present. God was not present. The church did not burn down. Everybody walked out of there. Nobody fell over dead. God's not there. Give it another shot. What is this, a bad relationship? No, I'm not going over there. Because I'm not. You know what I saw. That's normal. That's prison. How did you live in the outside world? Your normal and my normal are two different normals. That's not normal. What I saw is not normal. I'm still trying to recover from what I saw. I'm never going to church while locked up again. Good luck with that, though. I don't think this is the place for church. I'm going to stick to doing what I do. You going over there. Yeah, you relive it day in and day out. Went over there to see God and ended up seeing, oh, God. Oh, man, leave me alone, man. You done messed my head up. You got me thinking about this stuff again. Matter of fact, don't even talk to me. You tell God I said hi. I couldn't make it. Not going to make it. Been there. Seen what I seen. The end. You funny mother. Dude got all the sense. Go to church. You got to be the stupidest mother. Man, you already know what it is. Jay Williams, let's live life, and we're back. Let me start off by saying thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And much love to everybody that wished me a happy birthday. Much love to everybody that cashapped, everybody that reached out on Instagram, through YouTube. Thank each and every one of you. It's kind of amazing. We've all had those birthdays where it's like, damn. Nobody even texted me. Nobody even called. You guys definitely held it down, man, and I love y'all. My wife did a surprise birthday party Saturday, which I didn't know, but I knew something was going on. Things was just weird. So my foreman, Sean, which is also a good friend of mine, Sean Brendel, shout out to Sean Brendel, he calls me up and says, hey, I'm going to take you out to eat for your birthday at 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock? Who the hell eats dinner at 2 o'clock? It's kind of early. I said, all right. So he swung by. I went that morning, washed and detailed the truck. I just got home and he was there. It's like, where you want to go eat? Like, man, I'm really not trying to be in no restaurant crowd with all those people. Plus, I don't drink, so, you know, you're always going to see people drinking. It doesn't really bother me because I'm strong enough not to drink, but I just rather, if I don't have to, not be in those situations. So I said, look, I just want to hit the mall, man. I want to go hat shopping. I need to get some hats. Even though I've gotten so many hats now, that's seriously an addiction. I don't know what I've worn, what I haven't worn. But I went to the mall, went hat shopping. Went by, seen my watch guy, picked up a new watch. And pulled up to the house, and there's like 17 cars outside my house. As soon as we pulled up, I looked at him, I was like, oh, you think you slick, huh? I'm supposed to be surprised, and there ain't even nowhere to park. I got 2 driveways. There's one on the left side of my house, and then there's a driveway on the right side of my house where the 2-car garage is. The streets lined up with cars. Both driveways are full. I'm like, man, I ain't even got nowhere to park. You think you're slick. So I went in. Whole lot of family there. A lot of friends. People I hadn't seen in a while. Lil Bubba, my brother, all types of different people. Had a great time, man. It was a magical day, to say the least. And having all you guys show love and support from all different parts of the world was just extra special. So once again, thanking each and, I want to say thank you to each and every one of y'all. Moving on from that, y'all saw the intro. Y'all saw the beginning. This is a video I have tried my best to stay away from for the longest time. I've actually made this video now probably 3 times. And each time I make it, I delete it because it's such a touchy subject. 3 things you always want to avoid: race, religion, and politics. But to keep it all the way real, can't be avoiding stuff. People's feelings going to get hurt. People are going to feel some type of way. But I can't do anything but be honest about the situation at hand. So today we're going to get into religion while locked up. Before we get started, and I always do this because I just want to make it clear. With today's video, I don't want anybody that's gay, trans, that identifies as anything to take this any type of way. I have gay family members. I have a transgender family member. I have loved ones that fall in that category. So I have no problem with somebody that's gay, somebody that's trans. I respect the fact that you're bold enough and real enough to look at the world and say, this is who I am, without fear of judgment. You couldn't pay me enough money to walk around and act like a woman all day, because that's not who I am. But to the people that do it because that's who they are, I can respect that. Yeah, I said it. Doesn't mean that's what I do. It's not what I do. It's women for me. There's no guessing, no nothing like that. I've always been a straight man. I will die a straight man. That's who I am. But I have the respect for the people that choose to do otherwise. It's your life. Live it however you want. Be true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, you've got to face yourself in the mirror. Religion while locked up. Ah, man. What do I say about it? Well, I guess I just got to say it. You know I done seen it. You know I done lived it. So, let's relive it. Growing up, we went to church. As far back as I can remember, we went to church. We went to church for all the wrong reasons. A lot of parents could probably relate. Other people could relate. We went to church because for my parents, it was like free daycare. Every Sunday morning, church bus rolled through. We'd be dressed and pretty much whatever. Go out, get on the church bus, and go to church. Church bus pick us up about 9. We get home about 1:30, right? I've always had my faith. Southern Baptist, always have been, probably always will be. Those are the type of churches I'm used to going to, is some Southern Baptist churches where they get loud, they get hype. My mom found God in 1991. Got big into the church. And with my dad being who he was, well, there was no peace in our household. He shut that down. Mom had, I guess, turned to God to help her deal with what she was going through at home. The stresses of life, the bills, my father, all that. My father just, he wasn't having it. He wasn't trying to hear nothing about no church. His jealous side kicked in, and he didn't like the idea of her interacting with other adults. Very controlling man. Oddly enough, my mother told me, I think it was like 2 days before my dad passed, that he found God, that he, got saved. Doctors came in and talked to him, and so he went to the Lord. He turned over, which there's never a wrong time to find religion. It's just my opinion, even if you're on your deathbed. Going into the jails, they did church. But it was way different than what I would see in prison. I tried different services. I've been to different services. Now, jail and prison are two different complete worlds. They're nothing about them is the same, except that you're locked up and you're around people that you dislike all day. In the jail, we would go to the gym. A whole bunch of people would be there. Now, let me tell you the difference between the jail and the prison. There were gay guys in jail, but this transgender and people being so openly gay had become such a big thing at this point that they started putting these guys in their own pod. And it's not like what you think when it comes to gay guys, that they're like the biggest like sluts in prison or something like that. No, that's not the case. Most of them are in a relationship with somebody outside of prison, or they find somebody in prison, get in a relationship with them, or they find somebody in prison, get in a relationship with them, and have a relationship outside of prison. But gay dudes just don't bounce around like that, because somebody's going to get in their feelings and somebody's going to get hurt. So with the gay guys coming into jail, a lot of them were scared because of what they had heard. The stories they had heard, the horror stories, and all these different things. So they allowed these guys to go to their very own pod that is just strictly designated for gay guys. Then you got guys that are coming in jail that find out there's a gay pod, and they're like, shit, I'd rather be around a bunch of gay guys than a bunch of killers. Like, I don't want to go in GP. So you got guys lying also to go into the, the gay pod. So going into church, you wouldn't see a whole lot of gay men. You wouldn't see a whole lot of gay men in population. You would see them here and there, but these are the ones that were more or less had been to jail before, knew what jail was about, knew nobody was going to try to get at them. They knew people were going to push up on them, but they would just establish a relationship with somebody, or friendship with somebody, or get with somebody that had been down a while and cut that out. You get to prison, oh, it's a whole nother ball game. It's a whole nother world. For me, it was more or less a sensory overload. And like I said, no problem with gay people, but I had never dealt with any gay people on the streets. I knew some lesbian chicks. I knew a couple dykes, but I didn't know any gay men. I knew some guys I was questionable about. That be like, man, dude's a little fruity. Like, yeah, he might be, batting for the other team. But I didn't know for sure. Once you get to prison, there's no avoiding it. It's there. You can walk around mad at the world, acting like you're not going to interact with these dudes. You're lying to yourself. At some point or another, y'all are going to cross paths. You're going to need them for something, and you're going to end up dealing with them. I've met gay guys that could sew better than a sewing machine. You got some sweatpants. You want to put some pockets in it. You got a pair of sweatpants you want to turn into a pair of sweatshorts. You got a sweatshirt. Summertime, you want to work out. You want to cut the sleeves off and stitch it up. You got to go see the gay guy. So that's what we would do. That's you having to deal with them. They would also get exclusive things at times. They would have colognes, things that other guys didn't have. I was never big into going to church or openly showing my religion. Like, I had a gold chain at one point with a little gold cross on it. I kept a Bible in my cell, in my locker. I would pray at night, pray in the morning, pray before my meals. I still do that to this day. I still pray. Still, give thanks. One of my first experiences with going to church in jail would be in Philly. And I told y'all that story. I got my ribs broke by the dudes that were homeboys of Mike, another dude I knew, right? So that left a real sour taste in my mouth. I was going down there. I was going through a lot, battling my case. I was all messed up in the head. I had all types of beef, just drama on the daily, stuff going on in the outside world. I said, I'm going to go to church, man, see if I feel a connection, talk to God, sit down. And plus it gives you a way to get outside of the pod. You don't have to be in here. Somewhere I can go besides in here 24/7. I ended up getting jumped in the hallway. They smashed me out, bashed me, broke my ribs, took all the fight out of me. I got 0 wins in that fight. I wouldn't go to church after that for a long time. as far as being incarcerated, going to church goes, nah, I'm not doing it. Now you see the guys, and one of the big reasons you don't want to attach yourself to the church like that while you're locked up is people associate you openly showing your religion with fear. Because a lot of dudes would do that. You would have sex offenders, chomos, dudes of that caliber that would hide behind the Bible. They felt like if they walked around with the Bible under their arm all day, rosaries around their necks, homemade crosses, doing the most, the dudes wouldn't put hands on them. When in reality, if we saw somebody with a Bible underneath their arm all the time, a cross around their neck, like homemade crosses, rosaries, all that, the rosaries are cool. But when you get into start making crosses, arts and crafts type things, and you're constantly holding that Bible, the first thing guys start to think is, oh, he done messed with somebody's kid. He's a rapist or something. Because it's very common for guys to hide behind religion. Who wants to beat up a man of God? But at the same time, it kind of makes everybody think, even if you don't fall in that category, that's who you are. I tried other religions. When I mean tried, like went to their services, and that always ended bad. It was just a bad vibe for me. The Muslims here in Virginia are way, way different than the Muslims in Philadelphia. The difference between night and day. Like there, you got the bald head Muslims with the big beards. Here, you got the clean cut Muslims that usually don't even have a mustache. And if they do, that's a rare occasion. If they do, it's really thin, right? One of my homeboys was in another pod one time, $150, my homeboy, and he's like, yo, we used to be cellmates. We ended up getting into it with some dudes over this phone shit. Both get jammed up. He goes to another pod. I go to the hole. He goes to the hole. I come out the hole. They put me back in that pod, put him in a pod across from me. So the only way we could link up was through going through services. Well, he was a white Muslim. So he sends me a kite. Hey, come to Jumu'ah. The hell I'm going to go to Jumu'ah for? You are the only white dude in Jumu'ah. You are the only white Muslim that I know. Man, come to Jumu'ah, man, so we can kick it. I said, all right, so I agree. Jumu'ah, for y'all that don't know, is the equivalent of church. So I go over to Jumu'ah, and the guys in there see me. These are guys from all over the jail, and they knew I wasn't there to make salat. I wasn't there for their service or anything. I was more or less there just to kick it with my homeboy, talk to him, and see what was going on. This would have never happened in Philly, but it happened here in VA. I can contest to this. The dude openly, the guy that was overseeing everybody, made a statement when I came in and sat down in the back of my homeboy that just do what y'all are going to do amongst yourselves. We'll go to the back and make salat. But as y'all can see, he more or less said, the enemy is amongst us, talking about me. So it made me feel real uncomfortable and out of place, as you should. You know what I mean? Like, I'm looking around, I'm like, damn, I'm the enemy? Like, I got love for everybody. Like, I know a lot of these dudes. How the hell am I the enemy? But I guess that's just how they were carrying it here. That wouldn't be how they carried it in prison. This was how this guy was overseeing things in jail. Everybody's different. Any service you go to, depending on who's leading it, who's running it, who everybody follows, everyone's different. Prison wasn't like that. And that's no shot at no Muslims. Muslims are some of the most peaceful and respectful men I've ever met in my life, hands down. Muslims didn't hide behind their religion because they were scared. I knew gang members that went harder than anybody that were, practicing Muslims. That would be my first and last time going to Jumu'ah. I don't belong over here. Dudes didn't like me over here. Yo, this ain't the place to come kick it. They felt disrespected that I was using their time to worship for kick it. My homeboy Smitty were in prison, and Smitty is Messianic Jewish. Come to services, Jay. I'm like, nah, I'm not going to services. Man, just come over here and sit down and listen to what's got to be said. And I said, I'll go over there for you, man, but I'm Christian. Like, why would I be going to Messianic Jewish services? Just come kick it, man. Just I speak and everything. I'm big in that. Come over here and, Smitty was as crooked as they came behind the scenes, but he was big into the Jewish religion. So I was like, all right. I went over there and I sat down, and the hymns, the things they were reading, none of this was English to me. I can't remember if it was Hebrew they were speaking in or what it was, but it damn sure wasn't English. So I didn't understand nothing that was going on. But when they weren't, reading or doing their hymns, and they were just speaking in, plain English, I picked up on something that they were doing I didn't like. They were more or less bashing other religions, holding their religion to a higher standard. And like I said, this is what they were doing. Doesn't mean that's what the whole religion is about. Everybody does it. But this group of individuals in the prison, the whole service was spent just bad-mouthing other religions and how they're all fake. So I'm like, yeah, this shit ain't even cool. You know what I mean? Like, I'm Christian and y'all just up in here just bashing everybody. Is this what y'all do every week? Y'all just come over here and pretty much just talk shit about all the other religions? So that's a no-go. There comes a time where I'm freshly in the prison. I haven't been in the prison now. I can't even say I've been there a year. I decide, man, I'm tired of, Sunday nights they have church. Women from the outside come in. A preacher from the outside come in. And my homeboy's like, yo, come over to the church, man. You know what I mean? Just come kick it. Same thing like always. Man, it jumps off over there. They be singing and everything. They got cookies. Cookies. As soon as you said cookies, I was sold when he told me I was getting free cookies. I know it sounds messed up. Just keeping it real. They got cookies over there. Yeah, they bring big plates of cookies every Sunday. You can eat all the cookies you want. What kind of cookies they got? Shit. It don't even matter. I'm in there. I'm coming. The women bake cookies and bring them. I go over there and I sit in the back with another one of my homeboys. And at this point, I have not adapted very well to being surrounded by so many gay men. I was fresh into the prison, still had that, I wasn't a convict yet. I was still an inmate. I had that whole attitude of, I ain't gay, don't talk to me. I thought gay was like contagious or something, or like gay men were going to just like try to jump on me, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. Gay men know who is gay. They're not going to go at a straight man that's clearly straight, risk a confrontation. You can't turn anybody gay. You're either gay or you're not. But I was still under the impression, like, if you speak to somebody gay, everybody's going to think you're gay. You can't be around gay guys. Y'all can't communicate. Like, that's a big no-no. And it is that way in a lot of prisons. I go to the church services, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, damn. Like, is this church services or gay services? 70% of the dudes in here are openly gay. And these are guys that, on the outside world, identified as females. In prison, they talk like females. They act like females. They wear tight clothes like females. They're overly feminine. Most of these gay guys were more feminine than women. Like, they went just beyond trying to, be a woman. And I'm just looking around and I'm feeling uncomfortable. I feel super uncomfortable. A, because I'm not used to interacting with gay guys. And B, because I'm at church and there's so many gay guys. Then the other guys that I'm noticing in there are guys that I've seen on the compound that I know mess with the boys. I see the boys sit down, their man will sit beside him. So it's like they're couples. Everywhere you look, it's a couple sitting inside the church. And I'm like, man, this shit just looks wrong, feels wrong. Like, so I'm already not feeling it when I get in there. Now, there's bathrooms right outside, and the church services would be held in the visiting room where our visitors came. They would, the preacher would get up there in front of everybody, talk in the Bible, and they'd hand out Bibles if you didn't have one. They'd set up little chairs everywhere, plastic chairs we all sat in a row. And I'm sitting there, and then they do the service, and they're doing all that, and then they, let's go into a hymn. Can we get the choir up here, please? Shit blew my mind. When they said, can we get the choir up here, please? Like 12 people got up, went up there, and I'm looking, and it is pretty much all gay men. But it sounds like I can't lie. Like, the harmony was beautiful. The guys could sing, but it was all gay men. And then you got some other guys that have never been to church before that are in their first time in church talking about some, man, this is crazy, man. They must not know what the Bible says. Like, they're going to burn in hell. The preacher got the game messed up. This is what other dudes are saying. I heard, dude, the preacher got the game messed up, man. Like, they got gay guys on the choir. This is prison. So I'm like, all right. So meanwhile, I'm just sitting in the back and I'm just watching, like, I hate my life. What have I done to my life, Jay? You are supposed to be at home with your girl right now, watching TV, eating a microwavable dinner, drinking a beer, something. This ain't where you're supposed to be in life. So they sing, they do all that, and I would see guys periodically get up and walk out. Where the hell they going? Go back to minding my business. Church is about an hour long. They take a little break. You know, y'all take a couple minutes, get up. I know y'all stiff sitting in the chairs. Grab y'all some cookies. There's drinks and stuff. I'm like, shit, this is what I came for. It's my time, right? I ate so many damn cookies. I ate cookies to the point that my stomach was hurting from eating all these cookies. But damn, those cookies were good them women made. Sitting there a little bit later, my stomach gets to rumbling. I done ate too many cookies now. Done drank all types of beverages. Stomach is messed up. I'm like, oh. I'm like Smokey and Friday. Looking for that bush to go squat behind. I'm like, I gotta use the bathroom. I don't say it to nobody, but I'm feeling it in my stomach. I can feel it rumbling. I'm like, oh, I gotta drop a doozy ball. I gotta get to the toilet quick. So I get up, go out in the hallway, and the doors don't lock. They don't put any locks on these doors in the hallway, because if you were to grab a female officer, snatch her in there, or a male officer or another inmate, and commence to doing something bad to them, and you lock the door from the inside, nobody would be able to open the door to save that person. So none of these doors lock. Mind you, now, I told you I've only been in prison less than a year. As I'm approaching the bathroom door, I see a little piece of tissue like on the ground hanging out from underneath the door. I didn't know. I didn't get the memo that they had ways of letting everybody else know the bathroom was being used. So instead of shutting the tissue in the side of the door and a guard walking by and see it, they would just slide a piece of tissue under the door, and it would stick out just a little bit in the hallway, and you look down and see that white, and it's supposed to be like a flag to let you know, don't open this door, it's occupied. I didn't know. Nobody told me that when you go to church, you need to look for tissue on the ground, hanging out from underneath the door, or you're going to see some shit you don't want to see, or somebody's using the bathroom. Well, I mean, I open the door, there's two dudes in the bathroom. They're not using the bathroom. Fuck me all the way up. It's one of those things, you open the door, I didn't expect no one to be in there. I turn the knob on the door, I'm like, oh, and I shut the door. And that millionth of a second, what I saw is ingrained into my brain, ingrained, whatever you want to call it, because somebody's going to correct me, to this very day. I shut the door back. I go sit back in church. Stomach is rumbling. All I can think about at this point is what I just walked up on and seen. How bad my stomach hurts from eating all these damn cookies. How I don't want to be in here no more. 2-3 minutes later, those two dudes that were in the bathroom come back in, and they look over at me like, kind of grit on me like, I know you seen the bathroom was in use. Why'd you open the door type look? And I look at them, and I'm more or less like, don't say nothing to me because I'm traumatized. Like, pretty pissed off by what I just saw. Please don't come at me sideways talking about I disrespected you, because shit's going to get ugly. They didn't say anything to me. But no sooner than they sat down, I watched two other dudes get up and leave out and head to the hallway. That's when it dawned on me. These guys aren't coming over here for church. A lot of these guys are coming over here because it's the one place they can come that there's actually somewhere they can slide off and have privacy together. Some of these guys would have a boyfriend in another building. Some of these guys slept in the same cell. Some of these guys slept in the same building, but one might be upstairs in a different pod, and the man might be downstairs, and he might be in his pod, and his man might be next door. So they couldn't link up. But they could go to church and slide up in that bathroom when nobody was looking, because it's nighttime. There's no officers really out there like that. They're just holding services. They finished up services, and I walked out and gritted on the dude and the other dude that was in the bathroom. They looked at me, and I looked at them. And I rolled out. Went back to the cell. My celly's like, how'd church go? Fuck church. Excuse me, Lord. I apologize. Just a moment. I said, man, fuck church. What happened? I said, man, y'all knew what went on over at church, man. Why y'all ain't tell me? What is there to tell you? I'm like, everything, man. Everything about it. There was nothing church about it other than some of the scriptures that were read. Man, that shit was like something out the Twilight Zone, man. Like, why did y'all let me go over there? And he's like, what happened? I told him about me opening the bathroom door. He's like, oh, no, you didn't. You ain't know about the tissue in the door? I'm like, nah, I didn't know about the tissue. You think I'd have opened the door if I knew about the tissue in the door? You ain't knocked? I'm like, well, I had to use the bathroom, man. And a lot of times, if nobody was in the bathroom, they'd just leave the door cracked a little bit. They wouldn't shut it all the way. That's how I know that the bathroom's not being used, because the door's not fully closed. I'm thinking somebody dropped tissue. My celly starts laughing. Oh, shit. You done walked in on a date. I said, man, this shit ain't even funny, man. What was they doing? Why don't you go to church and find out? No, I mean, it was like, I said, man, I don't even want to talk about it, man. I need to pray. I need to pray. That's what I need to do. So that's what I did. I prayed. That would be my first and my last time going to church. That would not be the last time that I saw something that I did not want to see. I will say this. I was much more cautious when it came to opening doors. I knocked on every door from that day forward. I was never one to walk up on somebody's cell and just look in. Out of common respect, and in my ex-cons will tell you this, you walk up to a man's door, you let yourself be known. Hey, yo, you straight? It's Jay. Hey, yo, what's up? Then you present yourself. You don't just walk up on nobody's cell and look in, because you never know what you might see. And there's been some times I've walked up on some cells and knocked, and instead of them being like, yo, come back, they'd be like, yo, and I'd peek in and be like, so let me get into the next part of this. I've met Satanists, guys that worship Satan, got 666 on them, upside down pentagrams and crosses and all different types of people. I've been locked up with just about any and every religion or person with religious beliefs that you could really imagine. I've actually been locked up with guys that had made their own religion. That's another whole story for another time, that they really believed in. I remember when they took smoking out of the prisons, the Rastas were pushing a petition to say that since they couldn't smoke weed, they should still be allowed to have tobacco products to use in place of weed. There is one thing that brought all religions together once a year. Whether you believed in Jesus, Allah, did not matter who it was. There was one thing that brought us all together. And I never, ever, not once, seen anybody turn it down, knowing that it was coming from Christians. They have this thing called Kairos. Kairos is part of the church. Twice a year, Kairos would come around and they would pass out cookies, especially at Christmas time. They would give you and your celly both a Ziploc bag full of homemade cookies. Your celly gets one, you get one. A guard stops at your cell with an inmate and a lady from the church. The inmate hands you the cookies. The lady says, God bless you. And she moves on to the next cell. Like I said, I don't care who you are. When people are handing out fresh made, homemade cookies, every type of cookie you could think about for free. Oh, all that 666, the devil shit, all that I don't believe in God shit, all that goes right out the window. Thank you. And they take the cookies. We had to do that. Pretty sure I talked about Bob in the past, that everybody was convinced that because Bob was an older white man, heavy-set white man, did not go anywhere without his Bible. If he had to go to chow and he couldn't tote the Bible on his arm because he had a big Bible. I'm talking like Webster's Dictionary Bible. If he couldn't take that with him where he was going, then he always kept one in his back pocket. So if you were walking behind him, you'd see the King James hanging out his back pocket. Everybody thought that Bob was a sex offender. We just knew that he was a predator. There was no way around it. He looked like something that should be on To Catch a Predator. He was the poster boy for, I done touched somebody's kids. You take one look at him, and if he's in the streets, hey, get the kids in the house, get the kids in the house. Lock the kids in the house. Bob's here. That's how Bob looked. Crazy enough, Bob swore to his innocence all the way up until Bob eventually got rolled up out of there. Anytime you seen Bob would be leading Bible study, prayer groups, church services. If Bob talked to you, in the first 30 seconds of him talking to you, he'd ask you, have you taken the Lord to be your Savior? And most dudes would, Bob, if you don't get out of my face, I'll slap this shit out you. Don't come in here thinking, look, I ain't do nothing what they said. Don't ever speak to me again. Bob would roll out. Everybody disrespected Bob except for his Christian brothers, the guys that he did these Bible studies with, which a lot of them dudes were questionable as well, right? Everybody disrespected Bob. I watched this man get robbed time and time again. I would watch him come out and sit at the table with his Bible, put his head down, and he would just cry. God, why have you forsaken me? God, and he's praying out loud. God, why are you allowing me to go through this? You know that I didn't do anything. Is this a test of my strength? Is this a test of my faith? Of all things, why would you have me put in prison for this? And this isn't something I did. I heard this out of his mouth with my ears several occasions. In case you're wondering what that noise is, hate to stop the video real quick. My brother power washing this dingy ass house. So anyways, back to Bob. Bob would tell other people that he believed God put him there to spread the word. He swore, yes, I've been convicted of this. Yes, this is what they're saying I did, but it's all a lie. I never did anything like this. God put me here so that I could spread the gospel to the men in prison. That's all Bob could come up with. Well, with Bob being big into the church, anytime Kairos came around, there would be a lot of cookies. Now, you got to think, Greensville holding almost 3,700 inmates, a bag of cookie containing anywhere from 6 to 10 cookies, times 3,700, that's an ass load of cookies that these women and men have been baking out there in the streets to bring into these inmates. And it's not just this prison, it's every prison in the state of Virginia. So naturally, Bob's got his hands in the cookies. Bob helps pass out the cookies. Bob would walk with, because they would pass them out all at the same time. So Bob would walk with one of the women or one of the men from the church and an officer, cell to cell. Oh, all of a sudden that slapping Bob up, Bob's this, Bob's that, goes out the window for the price of some cookies. When Kairos rolls around, Bob becomes real popular. And that's because with him working with the church and him working side by side with Kairos when they come in, they would bless Bob. Bob got all the cookies he wanted. So when they were all passed out, these people don't want these damn cookies. They didn't ate so many cookies while making them. They're cookied out. They would allow the guys that worked over there at the church and worked with Kairos to take all the remaining cookies. So Bob would come back sometimes with 200-300 Ziploc baggies. I'm talking a trash bag full of cookies. Just like that, everybody that hated Bob was now Bob's best friend. Hey, Bob, let me get some cookies, Bob. What do you think Bob did? He passed them out. He didn't charge people for him. I always figured, because nothing in prison is free. Everything comes with a price. If you get something for free, that's your homeboy that threw you a soup or something. Nobody's just giving stuff out. Bob would literally take the cookies, and anybody that came to ask him, Bob, I hate chocolate chip, man. You got some of the macadamia cookies? Sure, brother, I'll trade you. The same dudes that slapped Bob up. Same dudes that Bob knew had robbed him. The same dudes that had been extorting him, beating him up, stealing his stuff. Just put hands on him last week. Just beat him up a couple weeks back. Would be at Bob's cell. Hey, Bob, let me get some cookies. Here you go, brother. And he'd give him some cookies. Always made me question religion, Bob, and the whole situation. At one point in my bid, I was convinced everybody there was guilty. And I told you with Thomas Hainsworth, Jonathan Montgomery, these are just two different men I did time with that were convicted of sex crimes that it was proven later on down the line that they weren't the guys that did it. But this was prior to all of that stuff. I was always convinced that pretty much all of us are in here because we're supposed to be in here. Everybody's innocent, right? Yeah, I'm innocent too. Let me out. But with Bob always swore that he was innocent, that he hadn't done anything. Bob did use his religion as I guess you could say, a crutch to try to keep people off of him. It didn't. And then again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Bob wasn't using his religion to try to keep people off of him. Maybe Bob just had faith. Maybe Bob was innocent. Maybe Bob was there to spread the gospel. That was 2008 when Bob passed out them cookies. Bob was still there in 2009 when it was time to pass out cookies again. Bob returned with the cookies. Blood ran up in his cell. Hurt Bob really, really bad. Bob left up out of there to the infirmary. Never seen Bob again. They didn't go in there and ask him for the cookies. By this time, our pod does what you call flip. That means so many guys have gone to the hole. So many guys have transferred. They're making bed moves, mixing us up, don't want us to get comfortable. So we're constantly getting new guys in and out. You fast forward from 2008 around Christmas time to 2009, there's only a handful of us that have been in here that long now. Me, Nate, T, there's, Bob, there's Wild Man. There's a whole bunch of different ones of us that are still in this pod from last year. But the gangs, there's a whole bunch of different gang members in here. Our pod is flooded with different, sets, and Bloods always shut shit down when it came to the most numbers. But they wasn't having that, we're going to go ask a sex offender for anything. They wasn't having the whole, he's innocent, praying to God, hiding behind the Bible. No. They ended up just running up in the cell when he came back with that big ass bag, busting him up real bad, leaving blood everywhere, and taking all the cookies. I bet the men and women never thought when they were baking them cookies, trying to do something good for the holidays to uplift people's spirits, but they never thought for one moment that those same cookies they were giving out would be the reason that one of their own got hurt. And that's exactly what happened with Bob. The bottom line is, you can avoid all this. Don't go to prison. If you're religious, that's what's up. I support that. I think we all need something to believe in. Facts. But there's a time and place for everything. You would think that prison would be a place where it's not frowned upon. But unless people really know who you are, it's going to be frowned upon. People are going to look at you as if he's weak. Oh yeah. Why don't turn to God now? You wasn't rocking with him when you was on the streets. Be crying for God now. You wasn't crying for him when you was on the streets. I can't tell you how many dudes I seen cry and pray to God. Please, God, please. Just help me beat this case, God. I swear to God, I'll never do nothing wrong again. Please let me out. I did that one time. And I never prayed to God asking him for anything like that again. I remember being locked up in Philly, and I said, God, if you can just find a way to get me out this jam, I promise you, I'm done with this life of crime. I promise you, I will never come back in here. I beat my case that day. The following day, I made that prayer that night. The following day, I went to court and I beat my case. 6 weeks later, I found myself right back on that same cell block, face to face with the cellmate that I had left behind when I went home that day. When I locked in that night, I thought about how I had prayed to God and asked him to help me, get me out this jam. And I honestly felt like he did. So when it would be time to pray after that, and ever since, I don't ask God for things like that. I don't ask God for anything from me, maybe guidance. Because I felt like at that point I was blessed. My prayer was answered. I didn't hold up to my part. Prison, jail, crazy, crazy place. It's nothing like what you think you think about out here. You think you're going to go to prison or jail and walk in there and sit down in church and it's going to resemble anything like what you're used to in the real world? No, sir. And it's just going to be a shock for the most part. It's not going to be what you used to go to with your grandma, or what you used to go to with mom on Sundays or Wednesdays at Bible study. Nah. This is going to be, you got men trying to repent from their sins for heinous acts. You got guys that try to crawl up underneath the name of the Lord to stay safe from others. And you got some guys that are truly have found God. There are some men that found God while locked up. And I've heard it said, heard people say it time and time again. How'd you find him when you was locked up? He don't hide. He's always been there. You just turn to him now because you're locked up. Crazy fact. I noticed this at the end of my bed. I noticed it when I first got to the last camp, but I didn't really pick up on it till the very end. When you would come in this dorm, there was a bookshelf to the right. And it had all these different books on it that you could just go get a book and read. I was a big reader. I like to expand my mind. But I noticed that on this shelf, the number one book that you would see on the shelf, back to back to back to back to back to back, were Bibles. You would take one of those Bibles, pick it up, open it, and there would be an inmate's name and his state number, the number he identifies by, they know him by, his item number, which is what you are, an item. It would be an inmate's Bible that was left behind. People will come to prison, push religion the whole time they're there, pray to God the whole time they're there, attend services the whole time they're there. And on the day that they go home, they would leave that Bible in prison. You go move to a new bunk where somebody just left, you open it up, everything they own will be gone except for that Bible. Guys tote them Bibles, their entire beds, and leave it there when they go home. Because for most guys, the religion only existed because they were locked up. For the majority of them, it wasn't real. It may have felt real to them. It may have appeared real to everyone else. But in that moment that they left, they weren't thinking about God. They wasn't thanking God. They were thinking about them streets. That's the truth on religion while incarcerated. I know I'm going to get some crazy feedback. Don't shoot me. I'm just the messenger. That's all I'm doing. I'm just reliving it. Hope I didn't offend anybody today. I got love for all you. Don't care what your religion is, what your sexual preference is. Be real to who you are. That's why I say salute to all my real ones. Be true to who you are. Don't live your life as a lie. Don't walk around pretending to be a tough guy and then get tested and find out that you're not. Or everybody else come to realize you're not. Be yourself, man. And most importantly, enjoy this life out here. Live that life through these stories. But anyways, these jails, detention centers, these prisons, these facilities, they're all just crazier worlds inside of this already crazy world we live in. And as always, y'all know what I'm doing. Just trying to keep y'all entertained. Are you not entertained? And like always, this is Jay Williams. Let's live life. It's all my real ones. And there are some real ones watching. Because y'all still watching me. Y'all know how we do, man. Salute. Damn, Bob. Who knows if he did it or not? Guess that's between him and God. And all the inmates that beat him up.